The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy is Kyle Bhawan. A couple of small, short guys, young guys, maybe not quite that far, over here recording Locked On Canucks. And hey, man, we are older than most of the Canucks on this roster, but that's one thing I want to dive into today. Just some surprising stats, to be honest, Kyle. The fact that the Canucks are one of the youngest teams in the NHL, and by some metrics, they're also the smallest team as well. Does that matter, or can the Canucks be the featherweight champions of the NHL here?
We'll have to wait and see. All that being said, at least like our best featherweight, who's still also young outside of being small, is Quinn Hughes. Like superhero, Ant-Man, right? Iron Man too, all at the same time, the ultimate superhero. You never know. All in all, though, Trevor, we could take this conversation so many different ways. But again, like to specifically still reel it in about like training camp and the lineup and tomorrow's regular season opener. Isn't this why Elias Pettersson was allowed to struggle a little bit in the preseason, but still make this team? Because this team needs that size and toughness that he brings.
Yeah, the size and toughness that you're talking about number EP40, right? The size and toughness he brings.
Elias, right? It's Elias is the D-man, Elias is the forward, right?
Yeah. No, Kyle, you're better at me on that front. I don't know what it is. I guess Big J Journo doesn't necessarily mean you're a smart guy, okay? But yeah, Big DPD. I think that's why I said on yesterday's show, our prediction show, about 27 bold predictions in there. Go check it out. That's why I said that I think DP is actually going to have a bigger impact this year than Mancini. And that's not me, slurping off the Canucks for choosing off DPD over Mancini on the 23-man roster. It's the fact that in a bottom pairing role, you're going to have to be a physical guy. And I think that's one way he's going to endear himself to this fan base, to this franchise. And I think, frankly, he already has done so. But Kyle, I think to me, look, the Canucks, like you said, they got the short king, Quinn Hughes. They got Connor Garland, who's the smallest full-time forward in the NHL. At least that was the case last season. Only Lane Hudson was the only NHLer who was shorter and lighter than Connor Garland at 5'9", 165. He's actually listed at 5'10", but I don't really think that's the case.
Wow. It's Trevor Beggs. Trevor Beggs in the room. The season.
No, Connor Garland said so himself, man. This isn't me taking shots at Connor Garland. Connor Garland would agree with me, man.
You've seen this guy without the Nike Shocks on, and right away you call him out. 5'6". You heard it here first, Connor Garland.
Oh my God. Unbelievable, man. But look, I think here's what I want to say about the age thing. I'll touch on the age thing first and foremost, because the question we got to answer here, Kyle, does age matter? Does size matter, right? They always say age is just a number, man. And look, there have been teams in the NHL that have won cups that have been extremely young. I'm not going to go back to the 1980s because that was the youngest team who ever won a cup, the New York Islanders. But yeah, the Chicago Blackhawks, when they won in 2010, their average age, they were below the age of 26 in an era where the NHL was older than it is today, even though it has been creeping up. I kind of want your thoughts on that too, Kyle. The Pittsburgh Penguins, when they won, were a pretty young team as well back in 2009. So we've seen it recently, younger teams winning the cup. And in terms of size, you don't really think of the Florida Panthers as small, because of Barkov, because of Ekblad, because of Seth Jones, Matthew Tkachuk, Sam Bennett. So this is where the averages become a bit deceiving, but Florida statistically was one of the smaller teams in the NHL last season, an average weight of 196. It made them, I think they were the 7th or 8th lightest team in the NHL last season. So I'm just saying this, man. I find it interesting that the Canucks are 5th youngest. That surprised me. Like, they're younger than rebuilding teams like the San Jose Sharks, the perpetually rebuilding Anaheim Ducks, the Detroit Red Wings. They're younger than almost all NHL teams. Only 4 teams are younger than the Canucks. And the fact that they're the latest team doesn't surprise me as much. But again, young teams have won the cup, small teams have won the cup, and the Canucks can make things happen. They're gonna prove this year that age is just a number and size, it don't matter.
You keep saying age is just a number, man. You're gonna make me look at your iPod Shuffle and see how much R. Kelly you got on there, buddy.
Oh,
No, I'm
Kyle.
just
Oh
saying.
my
Like,
God,
I'm just
man.
saying, bro. Like, no, I'm just saying. I don't know if it's a play on words. If like a Chat GPT wrote your podcast script today. I'm just saying in general. Where am I going with this? Yeah, I think sure age is just a number, but experience isn't, right? Can we agree on that?
Yes, you're right about that. And again, I'm trying to think back to that Chicago Blackhawks team. Like they did have some leaders there, but it was largely that younger group, right? Duncan Keith, Brent Seabrook, Jonathan Toews, Patrick Kane,
But
Andrew
also,
Ladd, Dustin Buffalo, and like all getting it done, and none of them had a crazy amount of cup experience or anything.
they didn't have a crazy amount of cup experience. Didn't they make the Western Conference Finals before they won the cup? Like, didn't they lose to Detroit? And didn't Chicago also have like I guess 5 Hall of Famers on that team? I don't know. Actually, yeah, Marian Hossa was on that team, right? Did he win the first cup with Chicago? Did he do that? Maybe I
He
don't.
won. It was the first cup with Chicago
Yeah,
because he
like
lost the 2 previous years.
Marian Hossa, Duncan Keith, Patrick Kane, Jonathan Taves, Brent Seabrook. I might be forgetting somebody too. Like outlier situation. I don't know if you can compare that with the Vancouver Canucks. Now, is age just a number and his size not mattering in regards to the Canucks potentially making the playoffs and winning around and convincing Quinn Hughes that there is a lot to build off on here, including like one of the strongest decors in hockey and some of the best goaltending in hockey? Sure. And I wonder, specifically speaking, and this does have to connect with the DPD, Elias Pettersson, and the rest, Arch D. Baines, a supposed two-way force, best coach's pet in hockey, Adam Foote's favorite player, Brandon Coots, two-way guy, been compared to, on this show, Patrice Bergeron, Ryan O'Reilly, and Mario Lemieux. And then we have Jonathan Lecker-Mackey, right? Two-way force, next Henrik Zetterberg, right? All in all, though, like, Trevor, like, how confident are you that crop of players, and I guess you got to throw Atu Ratu in the mix too, and Valentino Martini Mancini. Like, again, that young group of player that is, making the Canucks overall age go down quicker than we ever thought. All in all, though, how confident are you in those guys being able to play defense? Because they have to lean into the identity of this team, right? Strong D, good goaltending, limited chances, all that jazz. Can all those guys do that and perform at a high level? So much to the point where the Canucks, have 98 points, 100 points, make the playoffs, win around. Do you think that's possible? I think so.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's possible, right? And again, what just some interesting tidbits on this, right? Like, Marcus Pettersson, he's listed at 6'5", 174. So he's one of the lightest players on the team, but he doesn't play that way, right? And you kind of see it on the ice. I mean, Marcus Pettersson to me is still one of the most fascinating guys in the NHL. Like, how can this guy be 175 and 6'5", man? I mean, I'm a skinny guy and I'm like 5'9", 165. Or at least I thought I was skinny until I saw Marcus Pettersson. But look, I mean, guys can play above their size, right? We see that with Marcus Pettersson. We see it with Phil Pronik, who's not really listed as the biggest guy in the world. Of course, we see it with guys like Connor Garland, Nils Höglander when he's in the lineup as well. I think for me, the test will be, how can some of the other younger guys on the team handle it? How can a guy like Elias Pettersson handle it as well? Because this guy started to play more physical as the years have gone on here. And look, the interesting thing too, I know the Canucks lost a couple guys in the offseason, really just Dakota Joshua, I suppose, but they were one of the one of the teams that hit the most in the NHL last year as well, right? So you have this weird juxtaposition that the Canucks are the lightest team in the NHL. By the way, they were the lightest team until they recalled Victor Mancini at an average of 192 pounds, and Victor Mancini bumped them up by 2 pounds because he's 230.
Whoa.
That's just the truth. I was looking at this yesterday to do a story, and then the Canucks were now tied for the lightest with like Pittsburgh and Calgary after recalling Mancini. They bumped him up 2 pounds. So there you go, Valentino Martini, man, you've packed the punches.
Are you calling me fat, Trevor? Because I'm 195, 196. I'm not a pro athlete. I thought I was in shape, but now. What, like we're the lightest team in hockey because our average weight is 192 pounds? What is that? Dude, this is the first time I ever feel like traumatized / damaged. I didn't know. Trevor, I don't know what. why you body shaming me? I know you're a good 170 because P90X actually works and you actually eat from home and you don't eat all that garbage. But Trevor, you don't have to take a shot at him. 190. There needs to be softer language.
Damn, man. How soft do you want it?
I don't know, man. This is I don't know if we need a commercial break here so I can catch myself, Trevor, because I'm contemplating. Like, I gotta go find a gym with the sauna ASAP, and I gotta stop getting my girlfriend to like pick out treats wherever we go. Like, she's always eating snacks, always wants to get the sweet stuff. I didn't even know what dessert was prior to dating my girlfriend, and now I'm 25 more pounds heavier than I was 5 years ago, Trevor. So don't find love because the heart is heavy. Whoa.
Yeah, I know a thing or two about that, man. Let us know in the comments. Do you think that size matters? Do you think that age matters for your Vancouver Canucks? Can they still be successful despite being the 5th youngest and the latest team in the NHL? Coming up, lots to get to on the other side. I want to get into some Canucks lineup decisions to keep an eye on in the early part of the season. We'll also touch on some very different debuts from 2 former Canucks and talk about another big contract handed down. How does that affect the Quinn Hughes situation and the landscape? That's all coming up next on Locked On Canucks. All right. Before we get back to the program, this show is brought to you by, drumroll please, Kyle, it's brought to you by Indeed, baby. You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? It's easy, baby. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job posting on other job sites because Indeed's sponsored jobs puts your post at the top of the page and helps you reach the right candidates faster. And man, oh man, Kyle, you were taking some shots at me yesterday. I might have to get back on Indeed and find the next Deepak Roberts III because you hurt my feelings, man. And I know that if you and I get in a little tussle, I'm going to be using Indeed to find the next host of Locked On Canucks. Hey, you might do the same for me, man. You get sick of Big J Journal Beggsy, you might kick me to the curb and put a sponsored job up on Indeed. If you got your own business, you can speed up your hiring process with Indeed. You get a $75 sponsored job credit by going to Indeed.com/LockedOn right now and support Locked On Canucks by saying you heard about Indeed on this very podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed, is all you need.
People, we back doing this, and that's talking about my weight here on Locked On Canucks. Trevor Beggs, you may have to stand up for me very soon, okay? This comment goes to Bob Blueger. Kyle has the shoulders of a 200-pounder. Okay, all right. All right, guys. Okay.
No, I've seen you. Remember we did the push-up challenge last year. You're pretty balanced, man. You're not a guy that just does upper body or lower body. Like they call you Flex Bhawan for a reason. I was just reminiscing today about my old nickname used to be Q-Tip. You want to know why? Because in high school I weighed 100 pounds and had a big mop of hair on my head. So a teacher called me Q-Tip. So I'd rather be called Flex Bhawan than Q-Tip, man. So come on, celebrate yourself, man. Unbelievable.
Crazy. Bobby Blueger, man. I know Teddy Blueger's hurt, but you don't got to take out that pent-up energy, that negativity that you have and throw it on to people, man. Kyle has the shoulders of a 200-pounder. I'm gonna use that line on my girlfriend too, man, on April Fools. Okay? Maybe I shouldn't. Okay, jokes aside, Trevor, I know we have to move on from like the whole size thing. I want to bring up DPD again and Valentino Martini Mancini and Marcus Pettersson and Tyler Myers. You know what I'm saying? Like, and Derek Forbert, I guess, as well. Again, best penalty killer in hockey. Not even allegedly. Trevor, yeah, we might be like small with weight or light in weight. I guess that's what you're saying, right? Featherweight champions of the world. But there's some like legitimate length in the back end. And outside of like Myers and Marcus Pettersson, like Mancini and DPD, like they got that girth to them as well. Like they're wide, they're sturdy guys. And again, like in the long run, now I'm getting ahead of myself. At their peak, I'm so excited to see, a decor of like Quinn Hughes, Marcus Pettersson, Philip Pronig, Mancini, Elias Pettersson in the playoffs. For real. and Myers.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, when you look at the Canucks roster, it is kind of interesting. You talk about them; they're averaging 194 pounds right now. Now that they recalled Mancini, there's only a handful of guys on the roster that are over 200. And what is it? 4 of the 8 of them are on defense. It's DPD at 209, Derek Forward at 216, Tyler Myers at 229, and Victor Mancini at 229. So the biggest players on the Canucks are the guys on the back end. At least, lower down on the defense after your big 3 of Hughes, Hronek, and Marcus Pettersson. And look, we saw it last year. DPD can play a really big, mean, nasty game. Tyler Myers has shown that at times, man. I mean, showed it to Tyler Myers. What at maybe the 4th year anniversary almost of him just obliterating Duncan Keith on opening night against the Edmonton Oilers. So those guys can do it. I think you want to see it a bit more from Victor Mancini. And I said it yesterday, every Dayers know. I think that's a big reason why DPD is in the lineup right now over Victor Mancini, because as much as Mancini can wheel and deal, and look, I want to see it in the NHL on a regular basis. I think this team prefers a guy like DPD because of the meanness and the nastiness in the corners. They want to make guys pay in their own end, especially when you are the smallest team in the NHL.
Yeah. And Trevor, one thing I will say too, go back to this, we dropped this episode 14, 15 months ago. It's when we were, going to sleep and making love to the idea of losing Zadorov, right? After, we took a hit of that Big Z, where we were high. We were high off that Zadorov. We wanted to pay this guy. I want to pay him 6x6, 8x6. Give him Quinn Hughes money, keep Zadorov here. Remember that? Anyways, when we moved off from that, we brought up the scenario where internally in the organization, maybe the Vancouver Canucks felt like they couldn't go past 6 or go past 5.5 or whatever, because that was their internal budget, A, and B, they had Elias Pettersson waiting eventually. And based on their physicality and somewhat like similar play styles too. I mean, I guess Zadorov's more mean, but at the end of the day, like DPD still is mean. And, they have like a base layer of offensive ability as well. I compare the both. I really do. Like I see DPD having a Zadorov-like ceiling. And even, I know he's a quiet guy, and you've been in the room, he is a quiet guy, but B, he seems like a fiery competitor. Like he oozes hockey. He wants to win the game. Like the same guy that gets drilled in the head from puck holes in hard hockey play, doesn't want to get out of the game. Concussion spotters spot him. They take him out, and he just pissed off. He seems like one of those guys. Always wants to be on the ice, and Zadorov had that as well. And all in all, like, again, peak Elias Pettersson to Nikita Zadorov? I think so.
This is a really key guy for the Vancouver Canucks this season, Kyle. Like, there's the potential, and I know he's playing behind, obviously, 2 top pair caliber guys in Hughes and Marcus Pettersson, and he might play some right side as well. There's a pathway for DP to flirt with, being a top 4 defenseman this season. I'd say that would be the peak for him. I'm not saying it's the expectation, but there's a peak for him. Like, he can be a very important guy on this Canucks team. And God, we've said it. Every Dayers know. Occasional listeners know. Anyone listening knows. The Canucks just don't have a lot of guys like that on their team, especially young guys like that. It's a big reason why DPD is here to stay. Now, Kyle, I think where DPD plays in the lineup is certainly one of the things I'm watching for to start the season. I mean, he's been practicing on the right side alongside Derek Forbert. I'm curious if he's going to stay there. Kyle, let me just kind of rapid fire tell you about some other, lineup decisions I'm keeping an eye on, and maybe you tell me where your mind's going. Evander Kane on the top power play unit. I'm curious how long that's going to last. Archie Baines on the second line wing. That's what I'm looking for. And Teddy Blueger coming back to the lineup. He's expected out about a week. How does that change things up? Kyle, between those, potential lineup decisions, what one interests you the most?
It's got to be a combination of the Blueger and Baines thing. And I'm gonna swap Blueger out and just put Ratu in the mix. Like it's Ratu versus Baines. Right? Because those two, I'm not gonna say they were gifted these opportunities to play ASAP, but Höglander and Blueger are hurt, right? So that kind of allows both of them to come in, and I wonder which one's gonna stay by the time even Blueger's back. For real. I hope those two know that there is an opportunity here, but B, somewhat of a leash as well, or like an end road, because guys inevitably come back from injury. And in the Ratu case, it's like Blueger will be back in a week. So like, who's he going to push out of the lineup if he's playing well? It's probably Baines. But what happens if Baines is playing well?
Yeah. This is a huge spot for Archdeep Baines, right?
Yeah.
Like to play on the second line and knowing that when Blueger comes back, like you are the most likely guy to sit in the press box, right?
Yeah.
I just think it's a fascinating spot for him, and he's getting his tires pumped by Adam Foote and Scott Young. I'm not sure if we've talked about this, but there was this comment about Scott Young made it last week or on Sunday about how they wanted to take the high risk plays out of Baines's game, clean that up, and he's become a better player because of that. What were your thoughts on that? Because I know where my brain went to first, and it was, here we go again. Here are the old hockey guys telling the young guy to play safe and smart and take the fun out of his game. But to me, it was also a fascinating comment because I think Baines' biggest issue at the NHL level is that he's been too safe.
Yeah, dude. And look at this comment from and I needed to like listen to the whole interview before I saw the other side of it. But initially, Brandon Batchelor also tweeted out this, and this came from Adam Foote today. So again, Trevor's alluding to the comments Scott Young made on Sunday, which, you know, Trevor already went over. And now I'm going to read what Adam Foote said today, okay, about Archdeep Baines. He said, we're not going to be all over Archdeep for points. So we can give him a little bit more freedom in his mind to stay in that structure. And I'm like, yo, what Brandon Batchelor, first of all, why are you tweeting this out? Like, this doesn't even make sense. The sentence, but maybe again, I need the context, right? And B, when I see structure and freedom in the same sentence, I'm like, what are you talking about? How do you find one without the other? All in all, though, I went back, I watched all the film, and even though before I was on a similar boat to as you are right now with their comments around Archdeep, I kind of see it differently now. I kind of see the coaching staff happy that they've gotten Archdeep, because this guy's an intelligent player and a guy that can adapt, right? They trust in Archdeep's ability to be a solid NHLer, shift in and shift out. Like, he's not going to cost you much of any mistake. He's going to do his job. He's going to press, boom, bam. And that they're hoping eventually, when the player understands that, yo, the coaching staff likes him, they trust him, he has a secure job in the NHL, maybe then he relaxes a little. Because right now, again, he's playing for the Vancouver Canucks, his childhood team. He's also just a fringe NHLer. If he wasn't from Surrey, like, this would still be like a big pressure point situation for him. And again, I wonder if the coaching staff is gassing him up a lot and gassing up his two-way ability just to let him know, like, yo, you don't have to worry about making a mistake, because the player you are isn't going to make a mistake. Like, we know. So go do you now. Because, bro, at the end of the day, they need offense. And Archdeep, it's not like we're telling, like, just because he's playing in the top six, we're not demanding offense. It's because we've seen what he did in the WHL and the AHL. He has offense. That's why we want to see it.
Yeah, he's got offense. He's got creativity. I mean, he flashed it up points throughout the preseason. It was a little up and down overall, but again, he's got a high floor. And again, for me, definitely one of the most fascinating guys to watch. And that's not the Surrey bias, okay? And for those of you who think it's Surrey bias, come visit Surrey, man. Come on, it's the best city in North America. All right, Kyle, on the other side, let's wrap it up with What the Puck. Let's go around the NHL, talk about a couple stories, and they may also relate to your Vancouver Canucks. You're listening to Locked On Canucks. All right, before we get back to it, let's shout out our friends over at FanDuel. NFL season is here. NHL season now underway. More on that in a minute. Oh, baby, who had the Archer Sheilov shutout on their FanDuel bet sheet last night? Man, oh, man, FanDuel, they've got it all. Baseball back on tonight as well. The BJs, the Yanks. Man, oh, man, I'm not going to lie. I've always been a West Coast guy. I'm not a Blue Jays guy, but when the anthem got booed last night, it got me a little fired up, not going to lie. For your Vancouver Canucks, they do play tomorrow night against the Calgary Flames, and they are, heavy favorites, Kyle. On the money line, they are, well, I had it right here. It's gone. Anyways, they're heavy favorites against the Calgary Flames. The Calgary Flames playing tonight against Edmonton, and so Vancouver is getting them on the second night of back-to-backs. They are they're plus 110 to win by more than a goal. Again, whatever bet you place, make sure you do it on FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, Put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app, and that's over on FanDuel.com.
Okay, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks, Kyle Bhawan, and the second best dad in the world, Trevor Beggs, doing our thing. One love to the Don't Doze Art Lab for giving us the space and the ability to continue to give you that West Coast bias on the low. Speaking of you, let's get to the comments. And Bobby Blueger, saying that he meant it as a compliment when he called me overweight. I don't know why you're laughing at my misery, man.
Because he definitely meant it as a compliment, man. Come on, I'm the guy that Bob Blueger doesn't like. Because I was saying Teddy Blueger might not make it in the opening night lineup, and then boom, he gets hurt. That's the curse of Beggsy, baby.
Trevor, man, maybe I've been reading too much Mel Robbins, right? Getting a little too soft. Okay, next one. Man, oh man, Dan Jardine saying Ratu, Hedl, and Garland would be a good second line. Ratu replacing Baines eventually. That's, what some people are saying, including Trevor, allegedly. And then Lefty also saying Ratu, Cheadle, and Garland will not be a good second line. And I'm not talking about Garland. I'm talking about the other two being the weakest links. Trevor, before we get into again, the news and notes and all that stuff, just one last question about the Canucks. Hedl, holy Sheetle, what are you feeling in regards to how he's gonna do starting tomorrow? Because I don't know, I feel like we haven't talked about him too much specifically, even though I don't know, right underneath Elias, he's such an important player, especially in that forward group. He's that guy, he's the second line center we've been looking for. Well, we're forced to have.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think he was a story more so at the beginning of training camp and early in preseason. He was, in my opinion, one of the most impressive skaters at training camp, which meant something for a guy who missed a lot of time last year, didn't play a lot in the Canucks jersey, looked great in preseason as well. I don't know if he was as noticeable as the preseason went on, but he certainly had flashes there. Now, what am I going to expect? I think first and foremost, he's on the line. I'm most curious to see and watching it. I know that probably should be, I don't know. It should be the Coots, Lecker, Mackey line or Pedersen's line because that guy freaking matters. But I'm really interested to see what Hedl, Garland look like alongside RST Baines. And look, my expectations are still high for this guy. I truly do believe that this guy can hit the 50-point plateau for the first time in his NHL career. I'm also low-key interested to see what the second power play unit looks like. I do think Lecker Mackey's going to get moved up at some point, but Hedl, Garland, Coots, Lecker, Mackey, and Hronek. Yeah, man, oh man, that's kind of spicy too.
Wow, I like the positivity there, man. That's kind of spicy. You actually believe in the ability of that second unit, and maybe you believe in the ability eventually that Lecker Mackey gets more time in the top six with Hedl eventually. Anyways, let's go around the league. We got to keep this quick. A lot of news happening, and it somewhat connects to your Vancouver Canucks. Let's run it. What the fuck?
I thought this was a Canucks show.
Ito, this WIS a Canucks show.
Okay, this is the part of the show where we kind of don't really talk about the Canucks. On that note, we'll talk about Shelovs and Miller right at the end of the segment, okay? First off, Trevor, I don't want to say I'm sorry, but I do want to say I was so wrong about Kaprizov setting the market and him, introducing the Supermax, similar to what they have in the NBA and the NFL to hockey, right? We made the reference. Look, Kaprizov's getting paid 17. Now everyone's going to be getting paid minimum 17. At one point a couple of years ago, Derek Carr was the highest paid quarterback in football. Boom, bam, do the math. Quinn Hughes is getting 20. More specifically, Connor McDavid's getting 20. Jack Eichel's getting 19. Kyle Connor's getting 17. And boom, bam, those guys all just signed, and not one of them made over $13.6 million. Okay, so Jack Eichel just signed an 8-year extension worth 13.5 with the Vegas Golden Knights, and Kyle Connor, he signed a 8-year extension worth 12 mil per. So, Trevor, obviously, this connects to Quinn Hughes in some way, shape, or other. But before you get to that, talk about what's going on here, because I'm surprised that all these agents and these players left Kaprizov out to dry. Like Bill Guerin, you look like one of the dumbest GMs in hockey right now.
Look, Kaprizov was worth the money. I know it's a big number. I mean, Draisaitl with 14 million, Kaprizov hit 17. Like, we haven't seen a contract like that before. But if you look at percentages of the cap and everything like that, like Kaprizov's contract was fair. Now, what you've seen with McDavid and Eichel are players taking discounts to give the team a chance to win. And it's a noble thing to do. But if a player wants to go out and get the bag, that's their own right. And look, Kaprizov's playing for a middling Minnesota Wild team who honestly could use quite a bit more help. I know they got a great prospect pool and everything, but that guy just decided to chase the bag. I think that's what it comes down to. But if you truly want to help your team win a championship, you should take less, right? Look at what McDavid's doing. Look at what, if I guess Florida from the last couple of years, I mean, they had guys take discounts. They've had a lot of guys take discounts to keep the band together there. The Sedin twins from back in 2009, the massive discounts they took. If you want to win a Stanley Cup, you should take a discount. But if you want to get the bag, that's on you. And look, Kaprizov, if he wants to win a cup, he should have taken the discount, but he's worth the money at the end of the day.
Yeah. He's worth the money, but this was a clear indication that he either doesn't believe that the organization's going to win or has the ability to like put the pieces around him, or like B, he just doesn't prioritize winning. Which I don't agree with too, because some of the quotes, and he seems like a silent assassin. And again, I love watching him play, and he's good in the playoffs. Like all indications point towards him actually giving a big puck about hockey and success and winning. Like he doesn't seem just like a money dude. But I don't know. I feel as if they all put the like, what's the term? Like pull the carpet right underneath them or whatever. Like I just think he looks bad. Like he looks smart and rich. But I'm surprised that all these agents and players, I don't want to say did this to Kaprizov, but like they left him on an island. Now he can afford an island now. Good for him. But this is incredible to me. Like this is incredible. Like I did not see this coming, where we might have to wait years until somebody gets paid more than Kirill Kaprizov.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be years just with the way the cap's going up, but I mean, in the week since his contract was signed, it's pretty interesting to see McDavid and Eichel sign for far less than Kaprizov.
So winning fixes everything, though. This is proof, right? Because even Kyle Connor, like I know they don't have a lot of playoff success, but they're in the playoffs every year. I think they've crept into the Western Conference Finals maybe once, or no, maybe like once in the last like 6, 7, 8 years. No, maybe not. Against Nashville, no. A while ago? No, that's way too long ago anyways. All in all, though, they don't even win that much or garner a lot of playoff success, but the fact that they win a lot in general, like that's enough, right? That's enough to keep your players. And I don't know, like looking at this now to the whole Quinn Hughes thing, doesn't this give you more faith that the Canucks are going to actually sign Quinn Hughes for a long time?
Not particularly, to be honest with you. I still feel like the Canucks are good this season. He signs in the short term. I could be wrong, but that's just my sense right now, Kyle.
No, fair enough. I'm just looking at this, and I know Kyle O'Connor. I don't think Drew O'Connor is Kyle Connor's brother, right? I know he doesn't have brothers in the league like Quinn Hughes, but I don't know.
They don't have the same last name, buddy.
Yeah, but I don't know. Something tells me that like one good season, one playoff round, and like. Yeah, Quinn Hughes may sign a 3-year deal, or you might even just sign an 8-year deal. For real.
I like your optimism, man. I like your optimism indeed. Let's go, Quinn Hughes. Sign for life in Vancouver, buddy. You and the rest of the boys can go for some, bonding late night swims together. All right. Archer Shilov's JT Miller, a couple former Canucks facing off against each other last night. Kudos to Archer Shilov's. The Artie party lives on. Man, oh man, big smile on his face. He landed in the perfect spot, Kyle. Like the one team in the NHL that didn't give a rat's ass about winning this season took a chance on him. And man, oh man, he looked pretty good in night one against a JT Miller and New York Rangers team that looked flat as F on a night where people skipped out in a Yankees game to go watch the Rangers. And my God, they were boring and brutal last night.
Yeah. And that was like, I only watched 20 minutes of that game. It was so boring. I planned on watching the whole thing. And then I'm not going to lie, I got addicted to the BJs. and like just want to watch it and what like I saw the biggest dinger I've ever seen in my life yesterday. That for the first what? Okay, well, no,
Whoa,
no. What I meant to say, Judge thing was crazy. I watched that live. I was like, yo, that's a big dinger. Where am I going with this? Oh yeah, that was an. I've said this before and I totally mean it. And I don't think I've ever said this in my life. I hope we lose the Shelovs trade because that's how big of a fan I am of Artur Shelovs, the person. I also am confident in his like playoff winning ability and seems like a good dude. And I want that guy to be successful. So, we had to make that trade and it was kind of hard to ever win that trade, but more so than ever, I hope the Pittsburgh Penguins do win that trade. And JT Miller struggled yesterday. He was complete ass. And his comments after the game, man, oh man, like you're the captain, bro. You can't really admit that you knew your legs were going to be flat in game 1. Like you got no excuse attitude. You know what I'm saying? I know he's injured and stuff like that, but like, I don't know. I don't know if it was too brutally honest or just not good enough leadership from JT Miller. All in all, though, I'm ready to move on, man. Yesterday was I took a big step. Okay.
Yeah, I hope no one was too hard on JT Miller for his lackadaisical training camp and preseason, man. Unbelievable. All right, Kyle, you want to wrap up the show here, or should we sign out?
Jim Rutherford's online. He's had a live interview right now with Sportsnet 650.
All right, let's get out of here, man. Let's get out of here. All right.
More? Come on, man.
One love to you and you for listening. I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Kyle Bhawan. Home opener tomorrow night. Let's go, baby. You'll probably hear from us twice tomorrow here on Locked On Canucks.
Your Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.